What is going on, you guys? I hope you're all having an amazing day. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to fix your guys' cracked bumper, because I know there's some of you guys out there that either got hit into or you guys hit something and your guys' bumper cracked. So I'm pretty sure there's some of you guys that want to know how to fix your guys' bumper instead of like taking it to a body shop or something like that. So I'm going to be showing you guys that today. So the things you guys are going to need are going to be Loctite epoxy. That this is meant for plastics. There's some out there that say it works for most plastics, but don't get that one, guys. Make sure you guys get it that it's meant for plastic. Like it says on here, it's plastic. It's epoxy for plastics. So you're gonna need that. You're gonna need some drywall joint tape. You're also going to need regular body filler, and you're gonna need some fiberglass reinforced body filler. With that, of course, you're gonna need your cream hardener, which most likely it comes with it, and you're gonna need a spreader. Something else that you guys are gonna need is gonna be sandpaper, which is 800 grit sandpaper, 320 grit sandpaper, and 2500 grit sandpaper. And make sure you guys get this sandpaper on like automotive store like AutoZone or O'Reilly's. Don't get it like at Home Depot or Lowe's. Like that sandpaper is crap for automotive uses. So make sure you guys get your sandpaper. It's optional if you want a sanding block. So this is a sanding block. It's all made out of rubber. But you guys can also use this other sanding block. It's like sponge type, but it already has grit on it, like a certain grip. I think this is a 800 grit sandpaper, but you guys can put also like sanding paper over it, like whatever sanding paper you want. And this is a lot cheaper than a sanding block. Something else that you guys are gonna need is gonna be, of course, your primer and your paint. I'm only gonna be using the scratch filler primer for now because there's no need for me to paint it. Since most likely I'll probably be painting the whole bumper and whatnot, but you will be needing scratch filler primer. So that's pretty much everything you're gonna need in order to fix your guys' bumper. Now the previous owner that had this car before me, when I bought this car, it already had the crack on there, but I didn't feel the need to repair it. And now that we're doing all these modifications, I feel like I have the need now and the reason to fix it. So I'll show you guys the crack in a bit right now. So let's get started. And the first thing we gotta do is remove the lip, of course. But most likely some of you guys don't have a lip, or you guys do have a lip. So I'm gonna take that off right now and let's get started. Before we actually take off the lip, you guys can see already right here, this is it cracks all the way up here, but this is not even the worst part. I'm most likely not gonna be fixing this where you can see it right here right now. I'm just gonna be fixing the bottom part because the bottom part is what really needs the fixing. This I'll just do it later on down the road when we're actually going to be painting the bumper. So let's start off by taking off the lip now. So as you guys see right here, this is the big old crack that happened to the car. I guess the previous owner did this. He had a curb or something, I don't know. And then there's like a big old chunk missing right here. So the previous owner did all that, so we have to fix all that. But all these holes right here that you see, all these right here are because of the lip. Because of taking off the lip and putting it back so many times. When I was working on the fog lights, I had to take off the lip and then put it back on. So I did it so many times, so there's a lot of holes on there. As well as all these scrape marks were because before I put the lip on, I was scraping. That's kind of the reason why I put the lip in the first place, was so I wouldn't like keep scratching the bottom. So we're not going to be fixing the scrapes and all the holes that are on this bumper. The only thing we're going to be focused on today is filling in this gap that's missing and getting rid of this crack. So just putting it all back together as one piece. Something else I forgot to mention was you're gonna need two vice grips and just like a piece of metal, sturdy metal that I just found that was laying around. So you're gonna need that. First things first, you're gonna want to clean the area that you're gonna be working with. So we're gonna clean this up real quick. So first things first, you're gonna want to sand around the area. You're gonna want to take off as much paint as you can. That way that when you apply the epoxy, it sticks a lot better with the bumper. So we're gonna sand around all this, that way it bonds better. So it's all sanded to where I need it to. Now I'm just gonna wipe it down with the rag from the bottom too. And As you guys can tell, it's all black now, so that's the ABS plastic from the bumper. So that's what you kind of want to do all the way along the crack. You wanted to sand it down to the bumper color. You don't want no paint on it or anything, because if you leave paint on there, it's not gonna, the epoxy is not gonna adhere to the plastic as well, so it's not gonna bond as good. So now that it's all sanded down to the plastic, we're gonna put the bracket down here, and we're gonna connect it with the 2 vice grips or vice clamps, whatever you guys want to call them, and we're gonna put this flush back together to where it needs to be. So like I was saying, this is just a piece of metal that I found laying around, so we're gonna attach it to the bumper. So the vice clamps or vice grips are on there, and if I were to run my hand over it, I can feel that these 2 pieces now are like super flush together, so that's good. Now the next thing I'm gonna do is just put tape under it, so when we apply the epoxy, it doesn't seep all the way through the crack. As you guys can tell, there's a bigger crack right here, so it's just gonna seep through. So I'm gonna put some tape under there, and then we'll start mixing the epoxy. So I got it all taped up already, and I even taped it up over here just in case the epoxy was to seep towards this way and it were to get on the bumper, the actual bumper, and the paint. I'm gonna start mixing the epoxy in here, and we're just gonna apply it inside the crack. You don't need to get it anywhere over here or all that. You just need to get it inside the crack. So let's mix up the epoxy. And now let's put it inside the crack. I'm gonna try and not get it on the actual bracket that we put in here to connect the 2 pieces. That way I can take it off on the next one, and then we can apply some of this on the other side. Because once we just put the epoxy right here, it should hold both pieces together, and then we can remove the bracket and we can apply it on the other side. So for now, we're just gonna wait for that to dry, and we'll be back. So it's all dry now already. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna remove this tape for now, and then we'll flip over the bracket as well as the vice grips, and we'll put the piece of metal on the other side. So as you can tell, when I released them, the bumper didn't really like detach. So all this already is all well put together, so that's good. So now let's flip it around, and we're gonna do the same thing. It's just we're gonna apply tape. Well, actually we gotta put tape first. So let's put tape first. Now that I got it all taped up, I'm gonna put the bracket again, the metal bracket, and I'm just gonna clamp it down to both sides again. And then I'll flip it around. So now that we have it flipped around, as you can see, we still need to fill in this space right here where the bracket was. So we're gonna mix up some more epoxy, and we're gonna do the same thing, mix it up and pour it on there. So now that we finished putting some more epoxy on this side, we're gonna get the drywall tape and we're gonna put it on there. Once you lay down the drywall tape, you're gonna put some more epoxy over it. That way it bonds to both pieces. So just put some over it. So we got the epoxy on there, we got the tape on there, and we put some more epoxy over it. So now we're gonna let that dry for a bit, and we'll come back at this. So it's all dry now on this side. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna remove everything, so because it should be done. So now, as you guys can tell, these pieces are connected as one. So now what we have to do is sand it down, sand this crack down, and just sand any excess that was left over. So we're gonna sand it down on both sides, depending if it has any on the other side. So let's start sanding it. So I got the other side sanded. Now, this is optional. You can sand this side, but you don't have to. Since this is the side that's not going to be shown, you don't have to sand it. I'm not going to sand it. I'm just going to leave it like this. You don't have to if you don't want to. You can go the extra step and do it, but I'm not going to do it, but you guys can. So this side for sure is done. Let me put you guys down. This side is done. It's all sanded down. The high points are all sanded. So now what we have to do is we're gonna mix up some reinforced fiberglass filler, body filler, and we're gonna put that first down here. So I got it all covered up with the reinforced fiberglass Bondo, and now we're gonna wait for that to dry. So we gave it about an hour drying time, so it's already dry. So now I'm gonna get it with the 800 grit sandpaper and sand it down. So I got it all sanded down, and there's still like just a little bit right here and just a little bit over here, but this is not where the crack was at. I was just trying to fill in some of the scratches that were here and some of the holes, but right here it just needs a little bit right here. The rest is all smooth, so that's all good. We just need to put a little bit right here. So I'm not going to be putting the body filler, this body filler, the other body filler. I'm just going to be using, I just used the reinforced fiberglass body filler, so I'm going to be using just the reinforced body filler and the glazing putty. So I'm just going to put some glazing putty right now on all this, and to fill in some of the pinholes and all that. So you don't need to put the other Bondo unless you still have a lot of imperfection places, like some are still high spots and some are still low spots, but on mine there's still not that much. So I'm just gonna be finishing it off with glazing putty. But like I said, if you have a lot still left, I would continue it with the other body filler, with the automotive body filler. But that's just if you still have a lot of high spots and some low spots. So I got it sanded down with the 320 grit sandpaper. I also got it sanded down with the 800 grit sandpaper. Now I'm gonna go with it with the 2500 grit sandpaper. That way it gets all smoothened out and the scratch filler primer can bond to it a lot better. I don't expect this to be like super smooth and whatnot, because there's like these, I don't know, metal pins that they put in here. So there's some spots that are gonna be a little bit low than others, because like this pin right here, let me see if you guys can tell, but this pin right here, I don't know, like they put these pins so like they can attach together, but as you guys could tell, they didn't even end up working. So yeah, I'm just gonna go with it with the 2500 grit sandpaper. So I got it all sanded down. Now I'm just gonna apply tape to where I don't want the paint to get to. So let's just apply the tape. So we got this all sanded down up to the 2500 grit sandpaper. We applied the fiberglass reinforced Bondo. We applied some putty, but you guys can also apply the regular Bondo if you guys need it, but I didn't need it, so we just applied the glazing putty. But the point of this video is how to get your bumper attached back together, and as you guys can tell, it is put back together well done. So but this is just going the extra mile on getting it back smooth and painted properly. I will be repainting this whole bumper, so I probably will be going over this area again. I'm going to be going over the whole area because, as you guys know, there's a whole bunch of holes that need to be filled in. But this is just showing you guys how to attach your bumper back together. Like you guys saw, this was in 2 pieces. Now it's all in 1 piece. But now we got the spray can and we're going to start spraying it. So it's all dry now, and we're gonna apply a second coat. So the second coat is dry, and at this point, if you were actually to paint, which I'm not gonna be painting it, I'm gonna be leaving it with the primer, because as you guys know, I'm gonna be painting the whole bumper. But if you guys were to be painting this properly, what you guys would do right now, you guys would go back and sand it and see where any of the imperfection areas are, and fill it in with some more reinforced fiberglass, some Bondo or glazing putty, whatever you want. Most likely you might need either the Bondo or the fiberglass reinforced Bondo. So you would need to fill it in back with that. Of course, you need to take off the tape and smoothen out the edges. Once you filled those imperfections back up, you would need to spray the scratch filler primer again and see if you have any more imperfections, and then you kind of repeat the same process over and over again until you actually get it all smooth. But as you guys can tell, you don't even know where the crack used to be unless you were to remove the tape. Watch, let me remove the tape right now. As you guys can tell, the crack was right there, and it was all detached right there, and as you guys can tell, you can't even see where it was cracked. All that part is all perfectly done, well done. And just over here, there's some imperfections. I don't know if the camera picks it up, some little imperfections, but it's all sealed up. The 2 pieces are now 1 piece, and like I'm saying, you would go over it with sandpaper again around these edges where you taped it up, because those are high spots, so you just need to sand them back down. But like I said, we're not painting it, but if you were to paint it, you would need to do all that. So basically now I'm practically done. Look at that, guys. Brand new. All scraped up. So that's pretty much the end of the video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video on how to repair your guys' bumper, because I'm sure there's a lot of you guys that either got hit and ran to, hit and run to, I don't know, but if you got hit and run to, now it's gonna bother me. Hit and ran. You got hit and ran to, I don't know, but if you ever got hit into or you hit something, now you know how to repair your guys' bumper. So with that being said, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Peace out and embrace yourself.